Marco Rubio can't seem to get his presidential campaign really moving. It seems that as the less crazy of the Hispanic guys, he's not that appealing to Republican voters. If it seems that Republican voters are saying, okay, we have Trump, and then we have these two Hispanic candidates, Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio. And Marco Rubio is apparently a little bit too reasonable for some of the Republican base, opting instead to go with the guy who thinks that he was anointed by God to become president of the United States in order to bring about the second coming of Christ. So, what do you think is holding Marco Rubio back here? Is it just the idea that he's just not nearly as extreme, and the voters who are more interested in a Cruz Rubio type candidate are saying, well, between those two, it's clearly Cruz? Or is there something about Rubio specifically? Does he come off as inexperienced that's holding him back?
Well, he looks very young. I don't think people like that. I know it's just that's just my feeling.
He's very close in age to Cruz.
That's
in reality.
true. That's
Yeah.
true. But he looks young. We have the water thing and the robot moments. And while he does perform well during debates,
Yeah.
for some reason he's just not saying what people want to hear.
There are some Rubio advisors who are suggesting that he get out of this thing before Florida. Florida is Rubio's home state, and every recent poll suggests that Marco Rubio has no chance whatsoever of winning that home state, which votes a week from today, March 15th. According to a Real Clear Politics average of recent polls, Florida is tracking with Donald Trump at 42, Marco Rubio at 27, Cruz 13, and Kasich 8. There are real questions about, number one, whether mathematically Rubio can be in this thing without a strong showing in Florida. But most importantly, the optics of him losing his home state. If he gets crushed in his home state, that's not going to get him any substantial momentum here going forward.
No. And I guess it would just be about saving yourself some embarrassment.
Basically.
But
What the line is from some advisors who have spoken on the condition of anonymity, and other advisors have denied are actually advisors, right? So there's this thing going on where some advisors that were presumably actually known to be Rubio advisors, they say his future political career is going to be drastically hurt if he gets crushed in his own state, okay?
Yeah.
That's not going to be good. So that's sort of one element to it. And then the other side of this thing is that we have a serious question around the contested convention. So the reason for Cruz staying in, for Rubio staying in, is if he can keep getting some delegates, he needs to stay in until the convention to have clout and to try to prevent Trump from getting the nomination. So that's a reason for Rubio to stay in if you like the idea of Trump maybe running as a third party. And the way I see the path forward is Rubio stays in no matter what, right? He's got 149 or so delegates right now. That's not nothing, right? I mean, that's half of what Ted Cruz has right now. Rubio stays in, does what he can until the convention. We get to the convention, and because of Rubio staying in, Trump doesn't secure the nomination. The Republican establishment gets together at the Republican convention and, of course, gives it to someone other than Trump. Trump loses it, runs in it as an independent, and this basically single-handedly puts a Democrat in the White House. That's my sort of dream scenario. So in thinking of that path, if Rubio drops out, that path becomes less likely.
I think it's far more likely that he's receiving pressure from the Republican Party to stay in this for that reason, as opposed to him worrying about his career in the future and saving himself the embarrassment of losing in Florida. That makes way more sense to me.
Now, I want to pose an alternative scenario, which is one that another Rubio advisor put forward. A Rubio advisor came forward and said he's not getting out. He's also not going to lose Florida. If you look at the most recent Florida poll, which is a Monmouth poll released 2 days ago, it shows Rubio down to Trump 38-30. This is much closer than prior polls. That is true. I mean, the last poll had Trump up 44-28. In an average of polls, Rubio is still down 15. But the angle is Florida is Marco Rubio's home state. His base is going to come out. His supporters are going to come out, and he is going to come back. He's already closed the lead to 8 in the most recent poll, and he only has to close basically a fraction of 1 point something points per day from now until the election, and he's right in this thing. It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah, let's not count it out. Depends what polls you want to look at. If this Monmouth poll is accurate, okay, sure, he's in it.
All right, we will take a break. Send me your thoughts about the Rubio thing. Send me your thoughts about what's going on with Bernie and Hillary. Where are you on it? I'm on Twitter at @dpakman. Lewis is on Twitter at @LewisMotamedi. And we have so much more planned for you today, including a fascinating interview with Alice Dreger coming up later. FreshBooks is offering David Pakman Show listeners a 30-day free trial of their service. I'm obviously the host of the David Pakman Show, but I also run the business that is the David Pakman Show, and I want to spend as much time as possible on the show and growing and improving my business. So FreshBooks lets you get paid more quickly. It helps with invoicing. It helps with so many of those business administration tools, and it's for freelancers and small businesses who want to get organized on those issues and really focus on growing the business. So to get your 30-day free trial of FreshBooks and support the David Pakman Show, go to gofreshbooks.com/TDPS. That's gofreshbooks.com/TDPS.